What's happening again? What you need with another video. I want to talk the difference between boxing fans and boxer fans. Some people like to call them fanboys. And you can be a boxer fan. There's nothing wrong with that. But when the boxer becomes boxing itself or is above boxing, it is a problem because it does a disservice to the sport when you are only focused on a boxer, and as a result of that, a fight is only good when that boxer wins. And we're seeing a lot of sour grapes. We're seeing a lot of fans who are sour when their favorite boxer loses. And they forget what a great fight they witnessed. And only maybe 10, 15 years after that fact, they are willing to say, oh, that was a great fight, actually. And such is the case with Anthony Joshua versus Alexander Usyk. Some people are very, very angry. They're very angry that Anthony Joshua lost to Alexander Usyk, particularly because they thought it was going to be an easy fight for Anthony Joshua, because Alexander Usyk was smaller. And it was a good fight. It was a good fight. And yeah, your favorite boxer sometimes loses. I mean, how many fighters in the history of boxing went through their entire careers and didn't lose a fight? Maybe they drew some fights, maybe there was some no contest, but they never lost a fight. It's a handful of boxers. They say, well, Anthony Joshua should be one of them. I mean, as I said before, and as we all know, just simply being undefeated is not everything in boxing. I could fight 12 bums and have a 12-0 record and be undefeated. Right? So, being undefeated in boxing, while helps to boost your morale and confidence, is not everything to boxing. Okay? It's a great stat if you faced really great fighters and beat them. Yeah, absolutely. But not everybody can do that. And the other thing is, all of us want to see our favorite boxers or boxers we're fans of win. But what happens when you have to deal with a situation where there are two boxers you're watching going to face each other who you like? What you're going to do then? If you like boxer A and you like boxer B, you don't want to see either of them lose, right? You want to see them both win, but you don't want to draw, right? So at the end of the day, let's learn to enjoy the moments in boxing as fans first of boxing. Worst thing about boxing, I think, is when we get a bad decision. There are certain things that are really bad for boxing. One of them is when judges or referees, interfere with a fight. And a guy doesn't really truly win the fight. It was given to him either by judges or by the referee harassing the opponent. That all of us feel. We feel, especially, well, if it's not our favorite boxer, you know how it goes, because people are favorites. But a lot of us realize when a boxer has been robbed or has unfairly been treated in a boxing fight. Why? Because we all really want to see a good fight. We want to see a fair but good fight. All of us. Even those of us who are boxer fans want to see a good fight. We don't want to see one boxer just beat down another boxer, and the other boxer just nowhere in the class of that boxer. We don't really like that. That's what a lot of you, at least, whether you're a casual fan or otherwise, seem to express all the time. We want competitive fights. We want our fighters to have competitive challenges. As much as those of us who are fans of a particular boxer dread the thought of that challenge being overwhelming the boxer. Now, what's beautiful about Anthony Joshua's situation is Anthony Joshua has a public image and persona that all of us draw to if we have an inch of decency in us. We all like him. We admire him. And we admire how he goes through adversity and how he thinks, how he processes it. I'm a fan of Anthony Joshua. Absolutely. As a boxer and as a human. I admire him because he understands the process by which he needs to develop as a fighter. But I see in the comment sections, and I even saw in the Boxing Voice this morning, someone just lose their complete marbles, not because they're not aware that he lost the fight, but just that they're disappointed. And when comparing to another boxer, all of a sudden that person got very irritated. And to be fair again, unfortunately, when you're so prominent and you're so esteemed so highly in boxing, when you do sort of fall short of what people expect of you, you have to expect people to behave the way they do. So people are very critical of Anthony Joshua, and there's a lot of hate coming towards him. And then the people who are fans of him or boxer fans of him, they take offense to that because, of course, the Joshua Wilder thing and so on and so on. But the point behind it is, and this is for a lot of you out there, if you're just a boxing fan, or even if you are a fan of Anthony Joshua, all right? Even if you are a fan of Anthony Joshua, here's the thing. Anthony Joshua is not going to get worse because of this. No matter what the media and people say. It's not going to get worse for this. He's going to get better for it. How many prominent heavyweight guys, top tier heavyweights, have faced southpaws? Deontay Wilder, he faced Luis Ortiz. Tyson Fury, he faced Otto Wallin. And Anthony Joshua faced Alexander Usyk. Now, of those three names I just mentioned, who is the better boxer? Is the best boxer of them? Alexander Usyk. What did Otto Wallin do to Tyson Fury? Didn't he bust open his eye with a big, tremendous cut? Wasn't he beating him round for round until Tyson Fury started putting his weight down on him? It was a hairy fight. It wasn't an easy fight for Tyson Fury. What happened with Luis Ortiz versus Deontay Wilder? Deontay Wilder had 2 fights with Luis Ortiz. Did Luis Ortiz ever give Deontay Wilder an easy fight? Both fights were difficult, right? There was a point at which Luis Ortiz hurt Deontay Wilder tremendously. So why is this surprising that Anthony Joshua is having difficulty with Alexander Usyk? Because of your perception that Alexander Usyk, he never looked good at heavyweight. No, you can't go with that. Because he doesn't look like he has a respectable punch to keep Deontay Wilder honest. You can't go with that. There are not many southpaw heavyweights. Think about the success that southpaw heavyweights have had in the heavyweight division. Michael Moore was a southpaw heavyweight. He was beating everybody. Not a big guy, he came up from light heavyweight. Okay? Just think about what I'm saying here. Because a lot of you guys talk, but you don't really process what you're saying. You just kind of parrot what other people are saying. You don't think for yourself. So I'm going to present some new information for you to think about. How many southpaw heavyweights have they had in the history of heavyweights? Not many. Lennox Lewis never faced a southpaw in his entire career, and he makes a note of it. He tells us all. He never faced a southpaw. So he can't give Anthony Joshua any advice. Yeah? Because he's never faced one. My point being, Anthony Joshua took on a very tough task, and he knew this, in facing Alexander Usyk. And we saw Derek Chisora try the strategy that everybody's talking about: swarm him, attack him, swarm him. But did he win? Well, did he win? No. So ultimately, in the end, that strategy that Derek Chisora implemented failed to take down Alexander Usyk. Yeah? Let's just reason it out. So, as boxing fans, can we appreciate what Alexander Usyk did? And take it in its context. And appreciate what Anthony Joshua did. How he was able to land the right hand at times against Alexander Usyk. Clean. Are we going to forget that? Are we going to forget that after 8 rounds it was dead even? And going into the 9th is when things started to change in that fight? Are we going to forget that? Are we going to forget that Derek Chisora had success against Alexander Usyk, but Alexander Usyk also, in the championship rounds, showed up? Are we going to forget that? My point being this. Boxing is a thinking man's sport. Boxing is beautiful. And if you can see boxing for what it is, what boxing is, boxing, then you get to enjoy 2 combatants go at each other. And then you can replay the fights and look at them again and enjoy the combatants going at each other. If combatant A wasn't named Anthony Joshua and combatant B wasn't named Alexander Usyk, could you enjoy that fight? Some of you wouldn't, because you're attached to those names. But then others of you would still enjoy it. I remember watching 2 unknown boxers who didn't know who they were. And I was watching them do what they were doing. And I was saying, oh boy, that guy, his jab is really good. Oh my God, he has a good jab. And then the other guy started to show what he was good at. And I saw him infighting, and he was really good at throwing combinations, finding that spacing, and landing punches on the inside. And I enjoyed that fight because I enjoyed what these guys were doing. Point behind it is this. Do you enjoy watching what these guys are doing to each other? Or do you enjoy your guy winning? Is that all it's about? Because then it means we got some gamblers up in here. And we got some people who put down some money. Which is another thing that boxing is about. In that case, I'm sorry, you lost your money. But if it's not gambling, what's the problem? In every fight, you're going to either have a draw or you're going to have a winner and a loser. It's going to happen. It's just what it is. Somebody's going to get a W, somebody's going to lose. And so at the end of the day, if that's the case, what's the problem? Oh, I don't get bragging rights because I predicted. So what have you predicted? I don't know anybody in the history of boxing who gets every single prediction right. Right? So it's not a problem. That's just your ego. Okay, you have to eat crow. So what? It's part of the sport. So ultimately, in the end, we should be able to say that was a hell of a fight. And be able to not begrudgingly compliment Usyk on his win. Because some of you are begrudging, and then some of you are in so shock that you haven't really faced the reality of the situation. So you're talking about Usyk, he's definitely pound for pound #1 in the world, and all kinds of euphemisms now because you couldn't see it coming. So now some of you are overcompensating by now giving extra praise to Usyk Not to say he's not damn good, but you're just going out. You're just going on the other end of the spectrum. You're overcompensating because you couldn't see it for what it was, which is okay. A lot of us are emotionally invested in different fighters, and that's cool. But it's not life and death, okay? It's not going to kill you. You're not going to die if you get a prediction wrong. So enjoy the fights. Enjoy them. Enjoy them. Because I didn't know who was going to win, I really just enjoyed the fight. I looked at it again, and it's quite a fight. It was quite a fight. Yeah, Anthony Joshua was hanging with him for 4 rounds. Didn't realize that. First time I looked at it. He was hanging with him. He was in there. It was very competitive. He got his rounds in. Usyk got his rounds in. But then Usyk stepped on the gas a little bit when Anthony Joshua was, after he had done enough damage to Anthony Joshua's eye, he stepped on the gas. He stepped on the gas. Kudos to him. So can Anthony Joshua win the rematch? Yes, he can. He can. It's possible. But can Usyk win the rematch? Absolutely. So we'll see. But what I can tell you is I'm so glad that Usyk won because in this respect, not to disrespect Anthony Joshua, but show how unpredictable boxing is. This year we've had a number of upsets, right? Fighters, I predicted that Manny Pacquiao would beat, Adenis Ugas, and he lost. But Adenis Ugas he boxed his butt off. Okay? Beautiful. Beautiful stuff. You get it wrong sometimes. But do you enjoy the fact of what you're watching? If you're not enjoying what you're watching, it's probably because you're behind a certain boxer. This is why we have fanboys. And fanboys twist reality. And they have skewed realities. And there's nothing I can do about that. It's annoying to me to meet fanboyism because there's no rationalization. There's no logic. There's just a repetition. There's stonewalling. Fanboys have limited knowledge on anything because they're not interested in boxing. They're interested in once you start. There's something like they talk about your favorite fighter or whatever, and you may take a stand on something. And this is one thing about me. I can change my opinion. Okay, I don't mind changing my opinion on things. But there's certain people that are just resolute. I have to make this argument fit my opinion. It's a mindset. And it's sad because if you are not in pursuit of the truth, what are you in pursuit of? What are you in pursuit of? Don't you want to know what actually happened? Isn't that more important than whatever your imagination is imagining it to be? And I believe that fanboyism to some degree is a part of boxing, and that's just the way that will always be. But it does not necessarily help the sport. It can help the sport in terms of promoting fights. You can trigger some fanboys and let's watch them go. But fanboyism doesn't benefit the sport. We had the rise of the Pactards and the Flomos and the Golovtards. Just a dogmatic fanboyism that took away from the beauty of what actually happens in a fight. Because people are so partisan and emotionally invested in certain fighters that they're not willing to see the reality of the situation. I always talk about the first Triple G Canelo fight. I always talk about it. Because the reality of the situation is Canelo outboxed Triple G. That's the reality of the situation. But fanboyism just allows people to lash out. They lashed out at Adelaide Bird. They lashed out. And up to this day, none of these fanboys can explain to me how a guy with the superior reach, the superior height, is bigger than the other guy. Right? Size-wise. Just look at his back. Okay? You look at the guy has supposedly superior power, right? He's got more power than the other guy. And on top of that, he also is, he's longer, he's taller, he's stronger, and he's been dominating people in the division, right? Be knocking people out. He's probably the boogeyman. And this boogeyman could not even drop Canelo. He couldn't drop him. Right? He dropped Danny Jacobs. Much bigger guy than Canelo. He dropped him, but he couldn't drop Canelo. But Canelo lost that fight? Come on, make some sense here, man. Make it make sense to me. Make it make sense to me. I know what my eyes see. I kept on watching this fight. I watched that fight a number of times. My eyes don't lie to me. They don't lie to me. So I never understood that. But fanboyism. Putting a human being before the sport so you can't see the sport. All of a sudden you're blind to the sport. And it's Canelo lost to Triple G. Is the dogma. Makes no damn sense. But it's the dogma. I'm gonna hit some of y'all. Y'all gonna get it. I'm gonna hit y'all in the gut with this one. Sugar Ray Robinson. He's the greatest fighter ever. Really? Really? No, there is a fanboyism on about Sugar Ray Robinson as well. So-called hardcore boxing fans. Sugar Ray Robinson is the greatest ever, but yet y'all use Sam Langford. Y'all talk about Harry Crabb and all these other guys, and the remarkable things they've done. But Sugar Ray Robinson is the greatest fighter ever, really. But there's a fanboyism behind it. People love that. So even in the OGs, they got fanboyism, and you hear the fanboyism go over and over. I'm not disrespecting Sugar Ray Robinson, so don't get it twisted. I also admire and respect every single one of these guys, including Triple G, who I don't really like because of how people behave. But I respect the fact that Triple G has done something I will never do in my life. Never. So I have an utmost respect for the guy in that respect. But having said all of that, bottom line, what really are you? Are you really a fan of the sport? Or are you a fanboy? Are you? Or are you a fan of a boxer? And I keep on going through these things over and over again as I look at more of the history of the sport and trainers in the sport and how many great fighters there really were from since the beginning to now. There's a lot of them. And a lot of them are not mentioned. At all. At all. Okay? And it is sad. Because we have elevated fighters to such an extent that we've actually eliminated speaking about other fighters in the sport. And they make up the sport too. And even how certain styles evolved, how certain techniques evolved, comes because of certain fighters in the sport. Not to say that some of you hardcores know about this stuff to start with, because a lot of you don't like talking about skills. Oh, we don't judge skills at all. So you'll never know about that. But nonetheless, the point is, that's what evolved the sport and moved it along. And if you have an appreciation for what you see in the ring, and if you ever dare go into the ring yourself and do something, you will find out that there's a lot more to the sport than just, what you think you've seen when two fighters engage. There's a lot more to it than that. But just to keep it simple, my point is, it's a beautiful sport with ebbs and flows and, changes in how things go in a fight. And if you're on the edge of your seat, that's a great thing as well, to see what will happen. That's why we love boxing. And all of you, I don't care who you are, there's a flow of adrenaline inside of you while you're watching a fight live. Because you don't know what's going to happen next. You think you know, but you don't. And to me, that's what makes the sport so interesting. So, whether you're a fanboy or whether you're a fan of a boxer or you're a fan of boxing, and I think most people have their favorite boxers, so there'll be a kind of sort of fanboyism and overcompensation for that. All you got to tell people is, look, I'm a fan of this boxer, so I'm going to have a little bias to him. Nothing big about that. You start with that preface and then you go on, right? And it's cool. I mean, boxing's not about us combating with each other. We can have a normal discussion like we had before with I had with Sergio and also with Troy. You can have a discussion about boxing, a normal discussion about boxing, and we can disagree and we can agree. All right. Everybody's entitled to their opinion at the end of the day. It's just that we don't need to always get bent out of shape and say, oh, this was a terrible fight because Anthony Joshua lost, or this was a terrible fight because, you know, this guy was robbed when he wasn't robbed, right? It's not necessary. I mean, it's boxing, and whatever goes down on record, we can't change it. That's the facts now. Whether or not the fight went like that. Can't cry over spilt milk unless you can get a no contest out of it. So, you know, we have to look at things different ways, is all I'm saying, to really truly appreciate the sport. And I always say, if you can just be a fan of the sport and have your favorite fighters, don't get me wrong, you can be a fan of many boxers or one boxer or whatever you want to do. Have fan of, just be a fan of the sport. It really goes a long way to you enjoying the sport a lot more. Because I see a lot of people and they're very negative. They're very negative about the sport and negative about this, and I'm like, man, why do you even watch the sport if that's the way how you feel about it? Like, don't watch it then, you know, because it seems to be having a negative impact on you. You know what I mean? Why would you watch boxing if you don't love it, you know? And there are things that are troubling in the sport, don't get me wrong. Sometimes sanctioning bodies be really stupid and so on, but ultimately in the end, fights like these, Joshua versus Usyk, you know, Joshua taking on a challenge like Usyk, and, you know, hanging in there for a couple of rounds, is really, you know, it shows the kind of fighter that Anthony Joshua is, you know. And I also want to say one more thing, and I'm done. No matter who you back in the sport of boxing, it's really nice when you as fans don't make excuses for it. The winner wins. Unless it's a universal robbery, or unless the referee or one of the judges is really doing something crazy, or all the judges are doing something crazy, and you're left scratching your head at the end of the fight because you know what you saw, there's no reason to be a sore loser and to make excuses for the fighter that lost. The fighter straight out lost. He lost. He lost. You're going to have a winner, you're going to have a loser in most fights. Okay? I was looking at Oscar De La Hoya, man. And Oscar looks like he wants to still continue fighting. He's in shape and everything. With his new girlfriend or something like that. But the cool thing about it is, and I hope he's happy, the cool thing about it is I hope that he was talking about Evander Holyfield, actually. He had his views on Evander Holyfield, the fight that happened, and so on. And, you know, just like how Roy Jones Jr. said, man, you know, Vito Belfort, man, you didn't have to do Evander like that. You know what I mean? You could take it easy on him. But I think because Vito Belfort was preparing for an actual professional bout, he went hard, where he forgot it was an exhibition. Apparently it was an exhibition. So he went super hard on Evander. Apparently Evander and him didn't get together and have a discussion about it. But you generally don't go that hard in an exhibition against an old great. You don't do that. But apparently he did. Okay, the only other person I know who goes hard in exhibitions is like Mike Tyson. And even then, Mike Tyson, he probably wouldn't go all out. Like I don't think he went all out against Roy Jones Jr. Just try to make him look good. But point is that in boxing, you can't be like, destroying all-time legends and greats, man. That's just, it's not cool. The man's almost 60 years old. Shouldn't have done him like that. That's what Roy said. I kind of agree. But then again, Vito, like I said, everybody's preparing for Oscar, right? That matchup would have been much more reasonable because Vito and Oscar are around 40. They're still in their 40s, so that would have been cool. But it's what it is. It's like a Terry Norris, Sugar Ray Leonard kind of thing was going on there. Referee was like, you know what? Let me stop this fight before this dude kills this dude. It's like, no more. I think the referee couldn't take it himself. He was like, what the hell? Hell no, this is a legend. I need to protect his life. I need to protect his life. This is not worth it. Let me get like his paycheck. But yeah. I'm just saying that in boxing, I'm laughing about it. It was a serious thing. It could have been life and death. You never know. But what I'm saying is that in boxing, we need to be less focused just on one boxer. A lot of you guys sometimes, man, I'm like, come on, man. I've seen some guys dedicate their lives. They ain't got nothing else to do with their time, apparently. Their lives to just one boxer. They don't cover nothing else. It's just one boxer. And they don't know shit about boxing at all. Like, they never boxed. They don't know anything about boxing because the language they use, they don't even know what it is to even throw a punch. They don't even say punch. They say strike or hits. And instantaneously, this motherfucker never boxed a day in his life. He don't even know what boxing is. He never even tried to box. So, there's people out there. And, but I do understand people being disappointed when somebody who's your favorite boxer doesn't do what you expect him to do. But that's the point behind boxing. The glorious thing about boxing is that you never really know for certain what would happen. You don't really know for certain. It's the unexpected can happen. But there's nothing that happens by chance in boxing, I always say. If you're well prepared, you eliminate the possibility of chance. If you're well prepared. So, it is what it is. What you need in the building. I hope you guys are having a good one. I'm going to catch you guys later. That was 33 minutes in. Spent a little longer than I expected. I really wanted to do a 2-minute, 3-minute clip, but this is what it is. I'm going to come back with another video very soon on I'll let you guys. You can also leave in the comment section what kind of videos you want to have me do. Thanks to all the people also supporting this channel. Again, I got some support just recently from another subscriber, I believe. Thank you for subscribing and also for supporting the channel. So I'm looking forward to you guys again doing what you do and supporting me. I'm happy. I must say, I didn't expect this to even kick off like the way it does. It did. And so I'm happy about that. We'll try and get some more content to you. All you guys need to do is submit in questions. What do you like me to cover? And I'll try and cover it for you guys. And we'll also try to get some other people on here. Like I said, trying to get judges and trying to get referees and just different people in the boxing circuit on here so we could talk a little bit more boxing. So we'll see what happens with that. All right, what you need out of here. Peace.